We're still on B Street, and B Street and Courtenay Drive is the project around Medical University and the VA hospital, and it's a very busy area, so it's been very tight for these guys to get their job done, whether they be contractors, engineers, or inspectors. And we wanted you to know that the project's almost finished, but there are some interesting things that are going on now by people that are called CEIs. And I have sort of the head CEI, but he's really the project manager, and that's Chris Wood. Chris, thank you for talking with us.
Thanks for having us, Cheryl.
Now, what are we looking at right now? I talked to Tommy earlier, and he says that you're responsible for inspecting the various items that are here on the ground, but I see something that looks like fencing. I see looks like a fire hydrant that's standing alone, and I see various other things along the way. What are they doing right now?
Sure. What the contractor's doing at this time is constructing a unreinforced retaining wall in order to hold back the soil on the parking lot side of the project so that we can eventually construct a concrete sidewalk in the area that we're standing on now.
There's a drainage pipe up there I see too, or drainage place.
Yes.
Well, how did that get built in there? Did you discover it after the fact?
No, this project on B Street, we actually excavated down approximately 3 feet below the existing grade, put in a specialized material, a lightweight aggregate, and then installed the drainage work.
What's a lightweight aggregate?
It's a material that is lighter than a typical soil, and therefore the loads and the weights from replacing that with the lighter material, you'll have less settlement over the years.
You know, we're in downtown Charleston, and one of the things that concerns people in downtown Charleston, whether they live here or not, is draining the water, especially after it rains. Was there any way to help that process?
Well, we did improve the drainage with adding more inlets and drainage structures. We also made provisions for future connection for some of the city's future plans for drainage improvements, and those are in place with these projects to where they will have the plans and where those tie-in points exist and be able to come in and tie into those provisions.
I remember talking to you a long time ago about building roads, and you were telling me that sometimes the roads are slightly slanted so that the water can run off. How do you do that? Is that true?
That is true. It's in the plans, and typically there's a standard cross slope that you use on the crown section, and that takes the water from the high point of the road and directs it to enter into the drainage structures.
Is that yellow line the center of the road?
Not necessarily. In this case, B Street is not your typical road. The number of lanes and the widths change very often on this road. It's basically designed that way to best move traffic in a safe manner without building a highway cross-sectional road. You know?
What is so hard for me to believe is that there are a lot of facilities in this neighborhood along B Street. You've got the VA hospital, and you've got MUSC, you've got doctors' offices, and restaurants, no telling what, in this area. How do you build a road right in the middle of all this when these folks have to get home from work, they have to come back to work, and go out for lunch and all of those other things? Well,
it starts with communication and furthermore coordination. We have to keep everyone notified. We have monthly meetings with the facilities to explain the upcoming events with the construction activities and keep them informed. We also put out media releases, as you know, due to for traffic impacts to the traveling public, and we just do our best to minimize the inconveniences to the public. The
South Carolina Department of Transportation has some responsibility for this road. Do you work along with their people in similar types of activities?
We do. The state has been very involved in this project. Even from the design standpoint, they helped us review the plans and come up with the best proposed plans and project. And they attend our weekly meetings to, give us input on their needs and recommendations, so that we make sure that in the end we get the best product.
there are a lot of utilities underground. You know, cities would give their eye teeth for underground utilities because they say it makes it look nicer. While we have still some above, there's a lot of underground utilities in the Charleston area, and you and your team must run into them all the time. Don't you fear that you'll cut somebody's water off or electricity?
Well, I don't fear it, but what we do is we knew on this project that utilities, especially underground utilities, were going to take a lot of effort. And in the first phases and stages of the projects, a lot of the efforts spent were to relocate those utilities in order to finally build the project. So the staging step one was to bring the electric and the gas company, the phone company, the water company out here and let them relocate their utilities and to try to stay in front of the contractor's construction schedule.
And all that was done years ago. When you were designing the project, or when the company was designing the project, they were looking out for these things.
They did look after them and define the conflicts in order to know what we were getting into and to know what had to be relocated and what areas we had to pay special attention to work around.
Now, you're an engineer, I know, and you have to know something about construction, you have to know something about your field, engineering, and then you have to know something about inspection. And I know that you know all of those things, but have you ever run into anything you questioned and had to change from the inspections perspective?
Yeah, there's very many subjects in this field, and no one can know all subjects perfectly. So you learn real quickly how to lean on the people that are better and are good at what they do in the specifics of structures or drainage or asphalt, and you learn how to rely on those people and get input from them to make sure that you end up providing the best product or the best solution for the project.
So the short line is, if there was a problem, you caught it. And your team.
We catch them and then we take them to the right people to get the best answer.
It feels good because it makes us safe. It does. It makes us feel safe. Been talking with Chris Wood. He's project manager for the B Street and project, and it's almost finished, as we mentioned. And now we're going to head over to the Public Service Building and talk to the men who are responsible, or at least one of the men who is responsible for coordinating and making all of these things happen. His name is Jim Armstrong.